All glories to assembled divinity. All glories to Shishi Guru and Shishi Gauranga. हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा। सभी भक्तों का स्वागत है शुक्रवार के इस साप्ताहिक सत्संग कार्यक्रम में। भगवत गीता हम लोग चर्चा कर रहे थे। यस, नाउ टुडे बुक्स बुक्स निकलवा। सो भगवत गीता अध्याय 2, we are discussing on chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, and we have covered up to 2.45, text up to 2.45, and today we have to discuss on 2.46. Of course, we have to recap quite a few things. We are going through which section? We are going through the section of Buddhi Yoga, wherein Arjuna's doubts whether I will get sinful reactions. So Krishna had already clarified that, if you do not do your dharma, you will get sinful reaction. But still, Arjuna had slightest of the doubt that killing involves some kind of sin. And that is the reason Krishna raised the platform of Bhagavad Gita and said, yes, if that is the case, you do what I say, that, you have to do all the yoga, you have to do all the karmas or whatever deeds you do, you have to do it in Buddhi Yoga. Okay, so we understood what was Buddhi Yoga, and Buddhi Yoga, which kind of Buddhi again? Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, not Bahushaka Buddhi, right? Multi-branched focus will not help you out in life. Only a single dot point focus would help you out in your life. So, if you do all your deeds and karmas based on the Buddhi Yoga is nothing but not a separate yoga, but involving your intelligence to do your yoga with Krishna. That is, connect with Krishna, you have to involve your intelligence. So we were in that section from 2.40 to 2.53 is connecting. Prabhu, that's okay. हमारे मोबाइल में कर लेंगे. 2.46 उनके पास. ना English. 2.46. We are on the section of 2.46 today. So 2.40 we started off this Buddhi Yoga. So we'll have a recap first. Or first we'll have the shloka and then we'll have the recap. That's okay. So 2.46, repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtakim Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah Govindaya Namo Namah Govindaya Namo Namah 2.46 अध्याय 2 श्लोक क्रमांक 46 yāvān artha uda-pāne sarvataḥ samplutodake tāvān sarveṣu vedeṣu brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ yāvān artha uda-pāne sarvataḥ samplutodake tāvān sarveṣu vedeṣu brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ.
yāvān artha uda-pāne
yāvān artha uda-pāne sarvataḥ samplutodake
sarveṣu vedeṣu
tāvān sarveṣu vedeṣu
vijānataḥ
brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ
yāvān artha uda-pāne
yāvān artha uda-pāne
sarvataḥ samplutodake
sarvataḥ samplutodake
sarveṣu vedeṣu
tāvān sarveṣu vedeṣu
brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ
brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ
yāvān artha uda-pāne
yāvān artha uda-pāne
todake
sarvataḥ samplutodake
sarveṣu vedeṣu
tāvān sarveṣu vedeṣu
vijānataḥ
brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ yāvān artha uda-pāne sarvataḥ samplutodake tāvān sarveṣu vedeṣu brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ
artha uda-pāne
yāvān artha uda-pāne
samplutodake
sarvataḥ samplutodake
sarveṣu vedeṣu
tāvān sarveṣu vedeṣu vijānataḥ vijānataḥ और कोई हरे कृष्णा वर्ड टू वर्ड मीनिंग लेते हैं यावान जितना सारा अर्थ प्रयोजन होता है उदपाने जलकूप में सर्वतः सभी प्रकार से संप्लुतोदके विशाल जलाशय में तावान उसी तरह सर्वेषु समस्त वेदेषु वेदों में ब्राह्मणस्य परब्रह्म को जानने वाले का विजानता पूर्ण ज्ञानी का अनुवाद तात्पर्य भाई इसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की प्रभु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। मेरे पीछे दोहराइए। एक छोटे से कूप का सारा कार्य एक विशाल जलाशय से तुरंत पूरा हो जाता है। इसी प्रकार वेदों के आंतरिक तात्पर्य जानने वाले को उसके सारे प्रयोजन सिद्ध हो जाते हैं। ट्रांसलेशन।
तात्पर्य वेदों के कर्मकांड विभाग में वर्णित अनुष्ठानों एवं यज्ञों का ध्येय आत्म साक्षात्कार के क्रमिक विकास को प्रोत्साहित करना है और आत्म साक्षात्कार का ध्येय भागवत गीता के 15वें अध्याय 15.15 में इस प्रकार से स्पष्ट किया गया है। वेद अध्ययन का ध्येय जगत के आदि कारण भगवान कृष्ण को जानना है। अतः आत्म साक्षात्कार का अर्थ है कृष्ण को तथा उनके साथ अपने शाश्वत संबंध को समझना। कृष्ण के साथ जीवों के संबंध का भी उल्लेख भागवत गीता के 15वें अध्याय में 15.7 में ही हुआ है। जीवात्माएं भगवान के अंश स्वरूप है। अतः प्रत्येक जीव द्वारा कृष्ण भावनामृत को जागृत करना वैदिक ज्ञान की सर्वोच्च पूर्ण अवस्था है। श्रीमद् भागवतम में 3.33.7 में इस प्रकार हुई है। अहो बता प्रपंचतो गरीयान
यज्जीवाग्रे
वर्तते
नाम तुभ्यम ते पुरस्त परस्ते जुहुत सस्फुलार्या ब्रह्मानुचूर्णाम गृह्णन्ति येते।
हे प्रभु, आपके पवित्र नाम का जप करने वाले भले ही चंडाल जैसे निम्न परिवार में क्यों ना उत्पन्न हुआ हो, किंतु वह आत्म साक्षात्कार के सर्वोच्च पद पर स्थित होता है। ऐसा व्यक्ति अवश्य ही वैदिक अनुष्ठानों के अनुसार सारी तपस्याएं संपन्न किए होता है और अनेकानेक बार तीर्थ स्थानों में स्नान करके वेदों का अध्ययन किए होता है। ऐसा व्यक्ति आर्य कुल में सर्वश्रेष्ठ माना जाता है। अतः मनुष्य को इतना बुद्धिमान तो होना ही चाहिए कि केवल अनुष्ठानों के प्रति आसक्त न रहकर वेदों के उद्देश्य को समझे और अधिकाधिक इंद्रियां तृप्ति के लिए ही स्वर्गलोक जाने की कामना ना करे। इस युग में सामान्य व्यक्ति के लिए ना तो वैदिक अनुष्ठानों के समस्त विधि विधानों का पालन करना संभव है और ना सारे वेदांत तथा उपनिषद का सर्वाध अध्ययन कर पाना सहज है। वेदों के उद्देश्य को संपन्न करने के लिए प्रचुर समय, शक्ति, ज्ञान तथा साधन की आवश्यकता होती है। इस युग में ऐसा कर पाना संभव नहीं है, किंतु वैदिक संस्कृति का परम लक्ष्य भगवत नाम कीर्तन द्वारा प्राप्त हो जाता है, जिसकी संस्कृति पतितात्माओं के उद्धारक भगवान चैतन्य द्वारा हुई है। जब चैतन्य ने महान वैदिक पंडित प्रकाशानंद सरस्वती से पूछा कि आप वेदांत दर्शन का अध्ययन न करके इस भावुक की भांति पवित्र नाम का कीर्तन क्यों करते हैं, तो उन्होंने उत्तर दिया कि मेरे गुरु ने मुझे बड़ा मूर्ख समझकर भगवान कृष्ण के नाम का कीर्तन करने की आज्ञा दी। अतः उन्होंने ऐसा ही किया और वे पागल की भांति मनोमत हो गए। इस कलयुग में अधिकांश जनता मूर्ख है और वेदांत दर्शन समझ पाने के लिए पर्याप्त शिक्षित नहीं है। वेदांत दर्शन में परम उद्देश्य की पूर्ति भगवान के पवित्र नाम का कीर्तन करने से ही हो जाती है। वेदांत वैदिक ज्ञान की पराकाष्ठा है और वेदांत दर्शन के प्रेरणा तथा ज्ञाता भगवान कृष्ण है। सबसे बड़ा वेदांती तो वह महात्मा है जो भगवान के पवित्र नाम का जप करने में आनंद लेता है। संपूर्ण वैदिक रहस्यवाद का यही चरम उद्देश्य है।
हरि ओम तत्सत्। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललितां श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। सो 2.46 भगवान एक उदाहरण लेके कुछ समझा रहे हैं, तो इसको समझने से पहले हम लोग विल जस्ट रिकैप व्हाट डिड वी अंडरस्टैंड in 2.45, or you can say from 2.40 to 2.45 also, because that's better. Our this yeah. So we started off from here and we are almost here. Nistraigunyo, and we are today how? So we are in this Nistraigunyo section. From here we started and we have come till here. Next week we'll go to this portion. So what is the recap of 2.45? Anyone? It's all long time, I know. Yeah, we have to go beyond 3 material modes. That's
he introduced the Trigunya.
Trigunya was the first time. 3 gunas was introduced for the first time in Bhagavad Gita till now. Yes. And he says go beyond this 3 gunas. Right? Go beyond this 3 gunas. Nistraiguण्यो bhavarjuna. And nirdvando nitya sattvasto niryogakshemam atmavan. I think so. We understood all these words, right? Trigunya Vishaya Veda. We understood what is Trigunya, that is three modes. Okay, these mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. Vishaya Veda. So Vishaya Veda means Vedas words, Vedas topics. So Vedas deal with what? This three modes of material nature. So, for different types of people, like, people in different modes, right? So for all different types of people, Vedas have the solution in their this respective mode. So if anybody is in a Satoguni mode, Vedavani has provisions for him that, how can he progress above and above and above. And if he is in a Rajoguni person, more of a passionate person, then how he has to do some progress so that he comes to that Satoguni. If he is a Rajoguni person, what he has to do so that he can become Satoguni. And Krishna not even stops at Satoguni, he says go beyond Satoguni. So we have to cross all these three. And that is the stage you come to the situation called Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasto, right? What is the meaning of Nirdvandvo and Nitya Sattvasto?
Duality.
Yes, without duality. So duality can we avoid in this world? We are living in duality, right? Day, night, dukkha, sukha. Anything is together only. Means like, you say you are happy, then certainly you will find you will be not happy also, So dukh, sukh, dukh sab laga hi rehta hai, din, raat. So you are always in the mode of duality. So where this duality will not exist? Only beyond this three mode. That is not in this material world, but in the spiritual world. Yeah.
You do the contrast of Nirguna and Avguna.
Yeah. Avguna.
Avguna.
Avguna is okay. Nirguna is something one which is beyond the gunas, actually. That's what Nirgun means, is beyond the guna. But what people translate it Nirgun as, which does not have any guna. Without guna. It is not without, it is beyond three modes. So that was the thing. Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto. Nitya Sattvasto is what again? Constant goodness. That is also not possible in this material world. Why? Because Krishna will go ahead and say, this jagat is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. We'll say in the 8th chapter. वो बताएंगे हमको ये दुखालयम है अशाश्वतम है this jagat. So that is also not possible. Then निर्योगक्षेमम. दरवाजा बंद कर दो बेटा बच्चों का. आज फुल जोर जोर से बोल रहे बच्चे, फुल विगर में आज. निर्योगक्षेमम. Yogakshema means what? To protect, right? So what you have, that has to be protected. Yogakshemam, and that is what. So in a niryoga, so you have to become niryogakshemam. So what does that mean?
You can't want.
No, it's not that, but then whatever is there with you, at least you try to protect that. Or like you can means yoga is first to connect with life, and then yoga kshemam is whatever is there. That is insurance says we'll protect you. So Krishna will also say yoga kshema, I'll protect you, but will protect you from what? Janma mrityu jara vyadhi. Yes, okay. He says you don't have to worry, you don't have to bother that Krishna will protect me or not. When you become niryoga kshemam, automatically Krishna will decide for you. But you have to do your duty, so that that's what we just said, yoga kshemam and dharmo rakshati rakshita. We discussed the contrast between these two. That if you don't protect your dharma, then dharma will also not protect you. So yoga kshemam vahamyaham, whatever is there, if you do not know to protect, of course Krishna says it in terms of bhakti, because chapter 7 to 12 deals with Ananya Bhakti. So he says, whatever is there with you, okay, if you have material thing also, I will protect you if you are doing Ananya Bhakti. So तुम्हें भक्ति के लिए कुछ चाहिएगा तो मैं दूंगा. So उसकी चिंता मत करो. So you become, but you have to do your duty at least. And become Atmavan. Atmavan was what? Yeah, being in soul consciousness. We are the possessor of our Atma, so how can it doesn't So, well, good, but when it has to be read in terms of the sense, like, are you in your senses? Means senses are always there, but when we say, are you in your senses? Are you in possession of your senses? That you are doing acting such a way. You are acting ridiculous or you are acting very good, So, are you in your senses? So, we have to be possessor of our Atma.
You said aware of the spiritual identity.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Hold on to it.
Yes, and to hold on to it. That is the,
Being aware
yes,
and-
being aware and to hold on to it. Yes. So that is the Atmavan. You have to be, yes, you are possession of your senses means that's what you have to be aware of your soul and you have to hold on to it. Exactly. Anything else? So main thing was you have to come above the three modes, right? And today's shloka, yāvān artha uda-pāne sarvataḥ samplutodake tāvān sarveṣu vedeṣu brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ. So in English, the translation goes in this way. The purpose served by a small well can at once be served by great reservoir of water. So similarly, all the purposes of Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So it's a metaphor he is using here.
Yes, so I'm a bit confused. I know you want to take.
Yeah.
You mean the first sentence?
Yāvān
All purposes, a small well.
served by a small well.
So he's saying go from the small to the big.
Yes. Small.
But
We'll
this-
understand all that.
No, but for the second one, he's saying go from the big to the small.
No. No. No.
I'm taking it maybe.
No, we'll tell you, we'll discuss it. So, yāvān artha uda-pāne. Yāvān artha means whatever. Artha is what? Material. Artha is money, right? Wealth. And one more meaning also is there for artha. What is that meaning? Purpose. Purpose. Okay, purpose. So, yāvān artha. Artha here doesn't mean money, but here it means purpose. So that's the reason we have to understand, because Sanskrit has many meanings sometimes. So yāvān artha. So just whatever purpose. Uda-pāne. Uda-pāne is means it's means something which is deep. Means something which is dug and has water. So well, we call it as, right. So we call it as well. We are all well versed with wells, right? We come from India, so. Well is very much part of our Vedic Sanskriti, so we know that. Well is also here in Makkah also, right? They call it as Zamzam. So that's also the good water well which is existing within the desert. So uda-pāne is a well. Sarvataḥ samplutodake. So whatever purpose is served by the well, like in a small well or single well, sarvataḥ samplutodake. So sarvataḥ means that all purpose is served. Samplutodake. Samplutodake is something which is water which is gushing out or flowing out. So river, a water body which is gushing and going out and flowing, it's a river. Sarvataḥ samplutodake means these all purposes are served by a flowing stream of water which is river. The same purpose which is served by a well, by single well, is also served by a river in much better way, into more way. Like, it goes different places. Well, we have to go to that particular place. But river, whichever way it flows, it serves those purposes to all. Samplutodake. So whatever needs served by the well is all served by that flowing body of water, which is far greater as well as better because it is constantly flowing and has more quantity of water compared to well. Tāvān is comparison. Similarly, we call it as similarly. It's important here, Krishna. That's the reason I said he's using the metaphor to explain this principle behind this. Till now, what we have been learning. So, tāvān, it is similarly, sarveṣu vedeṣu, all the Vedas. We have been talking about Vedas, all about Nandan Garden, this, that, and what all Vedas says and how many Swargas. So all those things we have been discussing. So, sarveṣu vedeṣu, so all the Vedas, whatever, means similarly, the purpose of all the Vedas, what they are serving, brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ. One who knows the purpose of Vedas is served by a brāhmaṇasya. Brahman, who is a Brahman? Brahman iti janati brahmana, right? One who knows that Brahman, that is, who knows about the spiritual kingdom of the God, that is Brahman, we call it the Brahma Jyoti. That spiritual planet who knows is a Brahman, because he knows who is God, who is Jiva. That is the primary quality of a Brahmana, of course. So, that brāhmaṇasya, who knows about the Parabrahman or Brahman, who knows the entire cabinet system of Bhagavan, vijānataḥ is he knows, so the purpose is known. So all the Vedas, what serves the purpose is well known by a brāhmaṇasya. Okay, so very important metaphor. Krishna is again comparing the Karma Kanda with Karma Yoga. He is continuing to compare. Like हम लोग 40 से Karma Kand से होते हुए, we have understood what was Karma Kand, we came to Karma Yoga. So we are into that. So, or we can say we were from material elevation to the spiritual elevation. So, to explain that ultimately, because Krishna has to move forward now. How also he has to explain that, how your buddhi can become. He says you cannot be multi-branched focused. You have to be single branch focused, single point focused. So that's what he has come to this point, saying that, whatever till now Vedas, because people, if you are stuck in Vedas, you will be always multi-branched. That's what he said. To conclude on that, he's used this metaphor, giving an example, which is taken from nature. So not only here, Krishna, and he's comparing what? He's comparing the Vedas to a sweet well of water, and he is comparing himself to that sweet river or ocean of water. Okay. So knowing the essence of Vedas, because he'll say in the 15th chapter, he'll say that, I am the knower of Vedas. So he is in that way comparing Vedas with a sweet well of water and comparing the river with himself. Okay. So if one gets a sweet water river or sweet water ocean, then why will one be required to have a well itself? Well, why he'll be satisfied just with a well, right? So, yes.
Here it is said like that all the purpose of the Vedas can be served by the one who knows the purpose behind them.
Yes.
Like it means like can you give us an example like who knows beyond the Vedas?
See, one is brāhmaṇasya, one is Brahman. That is what he's already given. Brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ. One who knows is brāhmaṇasya. And Krishna himself is the person, because he'll say that I am the person, because the Vedas come from me. I am the compiler of Vedas. I am the compiler of Vedanta. He'll say in 15.15. That's why Prabhupada quoted all those sections in the purport. So we'll understand all that, not an issue. But we'll have to understand this metaphor and understand the principle behind this metaphor. Why he is using this. So he's drawn all these metaphors. Krishna has always drawn his metaphors from the nature only. Whatever nature, Vedic civilization and all those. Going forward also in 2.58 also he will use one similar metaphor of tortoise. And similarly in 2.67 he'll use the metaphor of a wind and a boat sailing on the ocean, or river or sea, whatever. How the wind can carry away the boat on the sea. Similarly mind, so all those things will come through. So मन के वेगों को बहा ले जाता है. So today he is using this metaphor of well. So it's a rural setting metaphor, of course. Like, we don't see wells in the cities. Hyderabad, I don't see nowadays. Like, all the wells are gone. You don't see any, so major cities, you don't see wells nowadays. Everything is closed. They at the most dig up tube wells, which is just a pipe gone till down. We can't see the water, nothing. We have to just put the motor and start. So tube wells exist today. But in villages, still some wells exist. So, of course, children of today may not know also what is a well is. We at least have seen what a well is. But today's children, if you ask what a well is, no, they will not understand. Of course, we have been to Egypt once. As well, in 2005-06, I was in Egypt traveling. Prabhu has also gone, right? So, Egypt. How if you have gone on excursion? Did you go to Upper Egypt? No. Okay. So if you go to Egypt also, you will find big temples, the temple of Karnak, the temple of Hachemsu, temple of all those temples, they are उनके लिए पुरातत्व विभाग है सारा. They are all temples, not less than temples which are in India. The moment you enter, बाहर दो ऐसा खड़े रहेंगे उनके रूप में, वो हमारे इसमें वो जो द्वारपाल खड़े होते हैं जय विजय विसे, they are sitting like this. The moment you enter that, you have to climb up the steps, 5-6 steps, and then go in, and then you will find one open compartment, open to sky compartment. In the sides there are rooms for visitors to stay. Once you cross that, once right now no visitor stays, don't worry, they are all in a broken condition. But that was what they explained. You go inside, you will find pillared compartment. Okay, with pillared, and that too structured pillared, not like, it's 8, 16, 24 water structured pillars. Once you cross that, you will come across one more chamber, which is the sanctum sanctorum chamber, they call it as, which has a parikrama round. Which we do in India. And within that sanctum sanctorum, there is a stone placed in the middle where their deities used to be there. It is not less than any Indian temple you see. India also you will have the same thing. Like, big temples you go, entrance, then you will find open room where you will have that stambha, Vishnu stambha, Garud Dhwaja, and then, side में rooms रहते थे, कोई बाहर से आता है तो रुकने के लिए. And फिर pillared compartment. वो सब पिलर्स का खंबा आके फिर मेन आता था जहां पे हम परिक्रमा करते थे. So similar, all those temples had wells outside, and they explained us this is nilometer. This is nilometer. I said, what is nilometer? To measure the depth of the Nile. Some wells were deep, some wells were. So how much depth is the Nile? Because the nearest is Nile. The Vedic Sabhyata, there also was Vedic Sabhyata, which was behind across this Nile river. So there, this wells, they used to call it as nilometers. And we understood, it is nothing nilometer, it is a well for, which every temple will have a well. And there was the biggest temple, Karnak temple. That Karnak temple had a pushkarani with, both the side steps going inside, and water used to be filled. The gods used to be brought outside. So God Ra is their sun god, and it had 2 wives. So, if you go through their heliographics, you will understand. They will explain. Since we took a good guide and we went into this thing, we could get all those, understood all those, and we could correlate. Even sun god has 2 wives. So, and the pushkarani, we call it as, it had a pushkarani where the deities were brought outside in a procession yearly once to have a bath. In that, all scents were put and all those. That's what he explained us. So we understood, okay, we do this in Tirupati many times. We go and have a bath in the pushkarani and then go to the temple. So we understood all those. But this is what exactly, this was the Vedic Sabhyata which existed everywhere. Okay. But we forgot the wells were the pure Vedic Sabhyata. And why it is being dug? Why it is being dug? For water, right? For water. And if you go to villages, I have seen, there used to be, sarvajanik, so many wells they used to dig up and keep, big, which used to have 7 pulleys to pull water and all those. We'll see in India, Pakistan also you'll find this, right? So when you go there, you will find in that village, this particular well is used only for drinking water. So people used to use only for that drinking water. This particular well is to be used only for washing. This particular well has to be covered and has to be used only for deity worship, like we have in Jagannath Puri, Swarna Koop. It is opened only once in a year when Snan Yatra has to happen. So some wells are used only for deity worship. No other purpose it should be used. Why? To maintain sanctity, to maintain hygiene, to maintain, washing clothes and washing things, all different. Yeah, exactly. Leave about that. We go to, this was olden days, Vedic Kal. Today's Kal, we have separate water for drinking. Mataji, if they have to wash their hairs, separate water. वो थोड़ा कम मीठा रहे तो भी चलेगा, लेकिन कड़वा नहीं रहना, है ना. बहरीन में मंगाते थे हम लोग, जैसे ये 400 फिल्स का आता था तो वो 100 फिल्स का आता था, सर नहाने के लिए चाहिए. So and similarly स्नान करने वॉशरूम के लिए अलग, वो तो कुएं का पानी भी चलेगा, like खारा पानी भी चलेगा. So today also we have differentiation in water. One we don't use for the other purpose, right? The same place, after attending your natural calls, you will go and wash your hands in a sink. You will not wash the utensils there. You will have separate sink. Why? To maintain hygiene, sanctity, सब है ना. तो it is very very important that this was being maintained. But वो अलग है, कालांतर में उसको बहुत इंडिया में गड़बड़ कर दिया गया. या लेफ्टिस्ट लिबरल्स वाले गैंग ने मिलके क्या कर दिया, अब किसी ने पीने के पानी के वेल को जाके निकाल के कपड़े धोना शुरू कर दिया होगा तो स्टॉप कर दिया होगा. जो जानता है वो स्टॉप कर देगा, है ना. तो कास्ट सिस्टम बीच में ला दिया. हायर कास्ट वाले ने हमको पानी लेने से रोक दिया, है ना. इस प्रकार इतने नैरेटिव बन गए थे इंडिया में, पूछो मत. Whereas it was a system which was to maintain hygiene. If people are not hygienic, then they will lead to cholera and all those, which was very rampant those days. Now you don't find that. But people used to protect themselves and they used to stay 100 years also. So all the wells had a different purpose and those purposes were being served by that particular well. Okay, so people were happy. But we leave about wells, and if you go to a flowing river, do you want to have a separate river for drinking, separate for washing? Do we? No. Why? Flowing water, and it serves all the purpose which is being served by all the wells. One river serves all the purpose of different wells. Is it there or not? Right? You don't, आप देखोगे गंगा में हम अस्थि विसर्जन करते रहते हैं और वहीं से भर के गंगा जल भी लेके आते हैं, फिर भी वो शुद्ध रहता है, चलते रहता है. आप जाओगे हरिद्वार, यू विल सी, कहीं पर भी, मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट कहीं पर भी चले जाओ. सो जहां पर फ्लोइंग वाटर रहता है, इट इज ऑलवेज क्लीन एंड प्योर. So this principle, it's a principle behind that.
But the river also, see, there is on the river.
People make it polluted.
Different activities. I mean,
Yes.
You don't wash upstream. You wash
Downstream. Yeah, yeah.
There'll be certain sequencing.
Yeah, but that same,
But it's still one
yeah,
source.
but it's for your city. Going to the other city,
Yeah.
going to the other city. So it's not a problem. That river serves, it automatically closes, the Ganga water still people drink in Calcutta. Now that is the pollutest till that place. But what did government do? It has just opened up ducts on the road only, because you see too much of poverty there sometimes, and especially Bangladeshis and all those coming and settling there and all. So they have their livelihood on the roads only. They eat on the streets only. They wash their this thing on the streets only, and government has also provided one water for them, like sprout to wash on the roads only. We'll feel it is so horrible, and again the death works also happens there, and so many things. But still, people have bath there, right? That doesn't mean he's not clean. So flowing water serves a different purpose. Right? Starting from Gangotri, it ends up to Calcutta. Ganga Sagar, it'll be naturally dirty. So, the streams, people nowadays don't make it. Otherwise, rivers were meant to be kept clean. But nowadays, people have a lot of plastics, a lot of waste, everything is being thrown into the rivers. That is how we make it dirty. But the purpose behind the Vedic system is to be understood. So, why Krishna is using this metaphor? Because rivers are always fresh. And river is always sweet.
Here in this shilok, they are talking about flowing water. But
Yeah.
it is mentioned reservoir of water. It means like water. It's not flowing water. It's not river.
It's thing.
It is mean like the stored water.
No. Stored water तो नहीं बोलेंगे.
Reservoir of water.
विशाल जलाशय में, ओके, समुद्र के अंदर, हाँ ठीक है, समुद्र हो जाता है, समुद्र है, great reservoir of water, samplutodake. Okay, all that is being served by a river, or we can call it as ocean or sea, or whatever you can call it as, of sweet water. Now we don't have sweet water seas and oceans, that's a problem. But we have sweet water rivers, so you can compare it with river, don't worry. It's a flowing river, so it's और ओशन में तो बहुत कुछ होता है, बहुत सारा क्वांटिटी होता है, इसलिए उसमें और भी ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम है. उसमें तो बहुत कुछ वेस्ट जाके गिरता है, फिर भी ओशन का पानी. So now we analyze this same metaphor, understanding the principle behind it, what Krishna wants to say. So, so here you got it, right? In terms of drinking water. So if a person now uses a river, then he not necessarily have using this all this different wells for different purpose. At one river he goes and then everything is can be done. Now Krishna is comparing different Vedas. Vedeṣu, sarveṣu vedeṣu. जो different Vedas which gives specific promises to specific individuals, right? We have been dealing, right? सतोगुणी के लिए ये ये means ये चार वेद है, ये है means like I just wanted to share one thing. Okay. सर्व वेदेषु क्या क्या है उसके लिए भी मैंने No, I think so. Somebody asked me also, right? What is ठीक है मैंने एक पीडीएफ शेयर किया सर्व वेदेषु what all are Vedas. I've shared one in the group. So whatever Vedas gives you different rituals for different purposes, right? If you are not having sons, progeny, then you know there is one पुष्टका क्या बोलते हैं पुत्र कामेष्टि यज्ञ, okay? पुत्र कामेष्टि यज्ञ. If you are suffering from health problems, then you have health related solution in some particular part of the Vedas. You have to do some opening of your Graha Pravesham, then you know some part of the Vedas deal with how to do your Graha Pravesham, the new house, warming ceremonies, there is that Vivaha ceremonies, there's so many things which is being served by different sects of Vedas. You know, one may not be applicable to the other. किसी की यहाँ शादी हो रही है तो विवाह से रिलेटेड वेद और किसी की यहाँ डेथ हो गई है तो डेथ से रिलेटेड मंत्र एक नहीं हो सकते, प्रोसेस एक नहीं हो सकते है ना, उसको गरुड़ पुराण मिटाना पड़ता है यहाँ पे तो ये चीज दे आर डिफरेंट. So they give you all different things. So all these are meant for, some are meant for material happiness and some are for beyond material happiness, that is for spiritual happiness. So the happiness that satisfies us completely is the spiritual happiness and not the material happiness. Material happiness may come and go. You will again become dishappy, but the spiritual happiness, once you come, it is eternal. And that is why it satisfies you more far completely than particular material. So that is the reason we call it as all material happinesses are finite and the spiritual happiness is infinite and eternal. That is what is known by a brahmana or brāhmaṇasya, a person who knows about all this, the conclusion of that Vedas. This Veda is serving this purpose, that Veda shlok is serving this purpose, this Veda shlok is serving this purpose, is to be known by somebody well known, right? And that particular person, brāhmaṇasya, and he knows what is the purpose of all these Vedas. So all these Vedas is giving you different stream, like all wells gave different purposes, whereas river gave you one common objective. So all these Vedas are different streams of wells, which will help you out in some way or the other. But what is the ultimate purpose of this Vedas is known as by brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ. That is what is brāhmaṇasya is none other than Vedas, where Krishna will reveal in 15.15. That is what Prabhupada has written. Vedeṣu sarver aham eva vedyo vedant krit ved videha cha aham. ये सब मैं ही हूँ. वेदांत भी मैं ही हूँ, वेद को जानने वाला भी मैं ही हूँ, वेद को लिखने वाला भी मैं ही हूँ. I am the compiler. I am so सब कुछ. He says in 15.15. So the sutra here is that devotion to Krishna is the ultimate conclusion of serving the purpose of Vedas. है ना? वेदैश्च सर्वम अहमेव वेद्यो. Don't always never take one shlok as individual. Always, that's the reason. To conclude on the knowledge, we have to take the entire gist of Bhagavad Gita. That's the reason. So, such a person, you know, the person who knows this is brāhmaṇasya. And such a person may not know specific things of the Vedas. Like, for example, if you ask me, did I read Vedas? No. If you ask me, no. If I have to do some yajna, I should know all the Vedic mantras? If you do have to do yajna for a particular purpose, you have to. You have to. Like, when we do some sanskaras related to that sanskara, some mantras are given to us, and that is what we recite and finish. In the end, we say kshamarpana because we are not perfect. We may have done some wrong. So please give us kshama. That was we do in the end. So, not necessarily that, one should know fully. But if he knows all those rituals, he need not know. But if he knows the purpose of those all rituals, then he is perfectly happy. Then he is perfectly happy and he is perfectly satisfied also. And being satisfied and being self-realized, that is the ultimate goal which every one of us has to achieve. That's why, like, in ISKCON, they will not give you too many mantras to recite. Okay, some prayers of Bhagavad Gita here and there. Okay, sometimes Dharma Samhita, sometimes there. But then, mostly we deal with what? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Only the Maha Mantra. This Maha Mantra serves all the purposes of all the other mantras. That is the reason it has been called as Maha Mantra in the Shastra. Iti Shodashaka Nam. This is a whole 16-letter mantra which is called the Maha Mantra in the Shastras. And Sarva, it is the sar of all the mantras. So, to control the mind, there is no other mantra which is much better than. And to control your consciousness, or you purify your consciousness, that is the best mantra which will do that. Because it is connected with Krishna and Krishna is pure. So, once we connect with him, yoga we understood, we have to connect with Krishna. So, we automatically become pure. So, again, as Prabhu said, starting Prabhu asked, when it is given in the Vedas, Vedas are supposed to be the guide of life. One has to follow the Vedas. And Krishna is saying here, go beyond Vedas, right? He said, Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna, right? In 2.45. Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna, he said, means go beyond 3 modes. But he also said, Traigunya Vishaya Veda. That is, Vedas deal with 3 modes of material nature. Hence, go beyond the 3 modes of nature. Which ultimately means go beyond Vedas. Right? Correct?
ऐसा नहीं इसका मतलब तो ये है कि प्रभु जी आप कह रहे हैं कि वेदा को डिनाई कर रहे हैं
No. That is what I'm telling. No way. No way. I'm not coming. No. That is what I'm telling. That is what I wanted to bring you out. I am not denying.
Let me explain it if I शायद आपको मैं जो कहना चाह रहा हूँ देखिए जो मैं समझाऊं वेदों का मतलब वेदों में वेदा को आप क्लासिफाइड कर सकते 2 चीजों में एक कर्म कांड है और एक ज्ञान कांड है ठीक है
तीसरा भी उपासना कांड भी है
उपासना भी ज्ञान में ही आते हैं
अच्छा ठीक है
उपासना ज्ञान के या फिर आप किसी या तो आप किसी को मटेरियलिस्टिक के लिए करते हैं या स्पिरिचुअलिटी के लिए करते हैं आप क्यों कर लेते हैं मटेरियलिस्टिक कर लेते हैं स्पिरिचुअलिटी कर लेते हैं जो 3 मोड्स ऑफ गुण हैं वो बेसिकली मटेरियलिस्टिक के ऊपर वैलिड होते हैं स्पिरिचुअलिटी के लिए वैलिड नहीं होते
हाँ क्योंकि निर्गुण है वो तो तीनों गुणों से ऊपर
यहाँ पे ये कह रहे हैं कि जो मटेरियलिस्टिक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू जो वेदों में मिलता है उससे ऊपर उठ के
एग्जैक्टली मैं भी वही बोल रहा हूँ हाँ तो मैं भी वही बोल रहा हूँ मैं भी वही बता रहा हूँ
लेकिन आप ये कह रहे हैं कि वेदों को
No, I am bringing you the point. You have to understand the point that don't think that now people will ask question. मैंने वही बोला ना कि this is also Vedas are supposed to guide us and Krishna is telling us become Nisraigunyo. Go beyond the 3 modes which are being spoken in the Vedas. That means he is rejecting the Vedas? No, that is what I wanted to tell. Because I am stressing this point. Why here? Because see in 2.42 and 43 what did he say? 42 and 43 what did he say? क्या बोलते हैं नहीं क्या वेदवाद रता पार्था ओके हाँ तो वही तो बोल रहा हूँ ठीक है वो उसने वहां पर भी वही बोला वेदवाद रता पर्सन हु आर एब्जॉर्ब्ड इन वेदास दे आर अविपश्चित men of small knowledge right we understood long अविपश्चित के ऊपर men of small knowledge we understood a lot so and we also say you have to follow Vedic life that means Vedas has to be there in our life. We cannot say we are not part of the Vedas. So we also have to get absorbed in Vedas. Then how that, following the Vedas would become non-discriminatory. That is where the answer comes is that our scriptures have multiple levels of messages according to the relevance. according to the relevance, one who is transcendental or one who has ascended to the highest level. Okay, one who has, then or one, I can say one who has understood the topmost message of the scripture. That person need not have to worry about the Vedas because he's already transcended the three modes. He's not worried about the material level. As Prabhu was saying, right? He's already transcended the material level. So this way, Vedas gives you a gradation. Okay, you're still materialistic, fine. Vedas, you have Vedavani. You can go. Because ultimately, all the things are fulfilled when one is devoted to Krishna, as I said before. We would need nothing if you have got everything, surrendered to Krishna. Once you are connected with him, then you automatically come into that blissful stage. So, you are automatically transcended the material stage to the blissful stage. That is spiritual stage. So with that sense, if we see, we can understand that Bhagavad Gita never rejects Vedic system or Vedic authority. Rather, it extends the Vedic authority. It has a purpose that requires transcending the Vedas from material level to the spiritual level. And that is what Krishna, going in the 6th chapter, will talk. You can open 6.44. 6.44, he says, Shabda Brahma Ativartate. He will speak in 6th chapter. So, translation you can read. English is there, no? 6.44. Shabda Brahma iti vartate is the last line of that particular shloka. मैं खोलूं? Translation पढ़ो.
By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures.
Okay. Now you get the point. So I am not telling कि Bhagavad Gita will never reject Vedas. Rather, it will comprehend the Vedas.
But reject भी सही नहीं. मैं तो कह रहा हूँ, यहाँ पे बात तो चल रही है.
कई लोग बोलते हैं.
वर्ड की बात चल रही है. वो ये भी नहीं कह रहे कि वेदा में जो कर्म कांड है उसको भी रिजेक्ट नहीं कर रहे हो. बेसिकली वो कह रहे हैं कि
इनसे ऊपर
आपका
उठो.
पर्पस क्या है. अभी आपका पर्पस स्पिरिचुअलिटी है तो आपको इससे
ऊपर
कांड ऊपर उठना है.
बस खत्म.
तो लोग इसको रिजेक्शन वर्ड जो देते हैं ना, रिजेक्ट नहीं कर रहे कृष्ण. वो कह रहे हैं आप इससे ऊपर, जैसे आपको पीएचडी करनी है तो बोलेंगे भाई आप
मैं कॉमन चीज में समझा रहा हूँ. लोग समझेंगे कि भाई क्या भगवत गीता में वेदा को रिजेक्ट कर दिया, बोला निश्चय गुण्य. कोई बोल सकता है ऐसा. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग कि भगवत गीता विल नेवर रिजेक्ट वैदिक सिस्टम. इट विल कॉम्प्रहेंड. जैसे एक गुरु कुछ हद तक देख रहा है, उसने अपने शिष्य को अपने कंधे पे बिठा लिया तो शिष्य कुछ थोड़ा दूर और देख सकता है. सो कृष्णा इज गिविंग दैट इफेक्ट बाय स्पीकिंग यू टू ट्रांसेंड द वेदास.
I think in some of previous class we discussed about the qualities of three guns like sattva.
Yes.
We really discussed the qualities of sattva, like it is free from dualities,
Yes.
following transition activities, like all these things. So I just want to understand what would the quality beyond the sattva.
It is Shuddha Sattva, they call it as. There is nothing, no duality. There is only one thing.
That's what he said last class. There's a Shuddha Sattva, which is like a I don't know the Krishna thing.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the first one, and then it actually gets split out into the three gunas. That is
Yes.
the beyond state.
Yeah, that is where three gunas comes into this black. नीचे वाला जो ब्लैक सर्कल है उसके अंदर से आने से तीन गुण को आना शुरू होता है, उसके ऊपर नहीं रहता है.
14 चैप्टर में दिया हुआ
आएगा. हाँ, पूरा
अर्जुन का सवाल यही था
कि ऊर्ध्व सत्वंति गच्छन्तान मध्य तिष्ठन्ति राजसा. लास्ट टाइम वो भी डिस्कस किए थे. अधो गच्छन्ति तामसा. हाँ, तो तीन गुण ऊपर नीचे ऐसा बीच में रहते हैं. रजोगुण वाले, सतोगुण वाले ऊपर ऊपर जाते हैं, तमोगुण वाले नीचे जाते हैं. तो 14.26 में बोलते हैं. तो शब्द ब्रह्म इति वर्तते.
ऐसा कंफ्यूजन प्रभुपाद जी हमेशा पेड़ का भी एग्जाम्पल देते हैं कि अगर जड़ को पानी दे दिया.
हाँ, तो पत्तों को, फूल को और को देने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. हाँ, इसीलिए यही कह रहा हूं मैं. वंस यू आर डिवोटेड, इफ यू आर सरेंडर्ड टू कृष्णा, तो कई बार हम यही बोलते हैं ना, अभी अब जैसे कई लोग अभी अब नवरात्रि कर रहे हैं, कितने लोगों ने माता जी को बिठाया घर पे? हम लोग तो अब तो ट्रैवलिंग में थे, हम लोग तो ऐसा मतलब कितने लोग माता जी को बिठाते हैं 9 दिन घर में? अच्छा ठीक है।
बिठाने मतलब नए लाना पड़ा,
नहीं नहीं,
ऑलरेडी हमारे पास है तो समय से बट
स्थापना करना, घट स्थापना करते हैं ना, दैट इज बिठाना, और क्या।
मतलब ऑलरेडी है, मतलब
हाँ है, लेकिन वो जब नवरात्रि बिठाते हैं तो क्या करते हैं? एक नारियल रखते हैं, कलश रखते
हाँ,
हैं,
वो करते हैं।
बस वही है ना। तो करना विष्णु को बिठा के माता जी को बिठा देते हैं, क्योंकि 9 दिन हम आपकी पूजा करेंगे ना, वही तो करते हैं। तो कितने लोगों ने किया? आप लोगों ने किया ना, सब लोग करते ही है, क्योंकि करना ही है, हम भी करते थे, हम तो 9 दिन उपवास भी रखते थे। अब छूट गए वो सब, ठीक है, बिकॉज वो धीरे धीरे ट्रांसेंड होते हैं। हाँ
फास्टिंग तो
हाँ कर रहे हैं ना, ठीक है शब्द ब्रह्म शब्द ब्रह्म इति वर्तते, ये उनके लिए है। जैसे अब बाई वर्च्यू ऑफ द डिवाइन कॉन्शियसनेस, तो ये बता रहे हैं कि वो योगी को, इस बार आगे चल के भगवान बोलेंगे तस्मात् योगी भवार्जुन, आपको योगी बनने को बोलेंगे, है ना। तो योगी बनने को बोलेंगे, और योगी के डेस्टिनेशंस पे डिस्कस करेंगे, दैट he doesn't have to be worried about the ritualistic principles offered in the scripture, that is offered in the Vedas. He's already transcended that, and he doesn't have to worry. Even without seeking them, such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. So that is, so that is where wo dheere dheere he comes with divine, consciousness of his previous life. That is where when we do Navaratri, when we do Ganesh Chaturthi, when we do all these things, वो धीरे धीरे पाइटी हमारी एक्यूमुलेट होके होके हमको ये कॉन्शियसनेस लेवल पे लाती है, तभी हम भगवत गीता समझ पाते हैं। ये भी आप समझो इस चीज को। अदरवाइज आप भगवत गीता कितनी भी बार भी, दुनिया में सब लोगों को हम किताब बांटते हैं, कितने लोग पढ़ते हैं, कितने लोग समझते, कोई नहीं समझते। ओके, समझ भी जाओ, कुछ अपने तरीके से समझते, कोई कैसे भी समझते, जो भी प्रोसेस है, लेकिन कोई समझते हैं क्या? उसको नॉवेल की तरह पढ़ के छोड़ देते हैं। ये एक बहुत बड़ा ड्रॉबैक है।
अभिषेक प्रभु हमेशा इसके बारे में बोलते हैं कि देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन लैंग्वेज एंड नॉलेज।
हाँ यस एग्जैक्टली,
लोगों को
उनको तो बहुत डीप, हाँ हाँ एग्जैक्टली
लैंग्वेज नॉलेज नहीं रहता।
एग्जैक्टली, कई लोग हैं जो शास्त्रों श्लोक कंठस्थ बोलने वाले हैं। हम भी विष्णु सहस्त्रनाम पूरा कंठस्थ बोलते थे, 700 श्लोक भी भगवत गीता के मोर और लेस रोज पढ़ूं तो आ ही जाए, लेकिन वो एक मीन्स लाइक, हाँ नाउ वेलकम, दैट इज वेयर एग्जैक्टली द स्कोप ऑफ द वैदिक साउंड्स फोकसेस ऑन मटेरियल गेन्स मोस्टली। ओके, अब घर में हम वेद वाणी करवाते हैं, कभी कोई यज्ञ करवाए करा, दैट मोस्टली फॉर मटेरियल गेन्स, एंड धर्म का पालन करते हैं। धर्मो रक्षित रक्षित, हम तो धर्म का ही पालन कर रहे हैं, धर्म वेदों में बताया गया, हम ये कर रहे हैं, ठीक है ना। द स्कोप ऑफ वैदिक साउंड्स फोकसेस ऑन द मटेरियल गेन्स थ्रू धर्मा। That scope is extended or exceeded or transcended by serious transcendentalist. You will see many of the, like, if I say you do this, and I don't do that, because I know by doing that, anyway, I have to come back to this particular process. So I follow the higher process only. So that Vedic sounds focuses on the material gains and dharma. When that focus is transcended through the transcendentalist, that is where the actual things come in, that you start going above beyond 3 modes and understanding the purpose of the Vedas. So here Krishna is saying, Arjuna, that do not be discomforted or do not feel apprehensive that you are killing your persons. Your family traditions, that is what fourth reason, this 4, 5 and 4, 6 gives partial solution to the fourth question raised by Arjuna, that my family traditions will vanquished. Okay, kulakshay kritam dosham. So my entire family, fourth reason wo diya tha, the family traditions will vanquish. So do not be discomforted or do not feel apprehensive about your family traditions which are being supported by the Vedas. Rather, by doing the war, as I am saying you are fulfilling the purposes of all your relations, or you're fulfilling the purpose of your Vedas. All the specific purpose, ये बोल रहे हैं कि मेरे ये पर्टिकुलर, मेरे ये मीन्स बड़े गुजर जाएंगे तो हमारी परंपराएं पूरी नष्ट हो जाएगी। तो बोले परंपरा एक ही होती है, गुरु शिष्य परंपरा एक ही होती है, और अल्टीमेटली द परम हैप्पीनेस जो मिलता है वो एक ही चीज से मिलता है, जो है परम शाश्वत भगवान से। तो वो एक ही है। सो रादर ही इज फुलफिलिंग द पर्पस ऑफ वेदास बाय सरेंडरिंग टू गुरु और वो सरेंडर हो चुका था, तभी ये वेदवाणी शुरू हुई थी कृष्ण के मुख से. When he surrendered, then you don't be comprehend that you are killing your own man, your family traditions will vanquish and all those. No, you have surrendered to me. This Guru Shishya Parampara, that is the ultimate truth. That is the parampara which will remain. Evam parampara praptim, imam rajarshayo vido. Even the Raj Rishis also, they have to follow this Guru Shishya Parampara. So, rather you are fulfilling all the requirements. So, what is he neglecting then, Krishna here? Or we cannot call neglect. What is he asking Arjuna to leave about? The lower level knowledge. The material, your relationship and their family traditions. He says, don't worry about that. Krishna is leaving that material relationships or those paramparas. जैसे हमने एग्जांपल लिया था बिल्ली का, शादी के अंदर बिल्ली को छबड़ी के नीचे रखना है, ट्रेडिशन बन गया था, जबकि कोई कारण नहीं था. वो ब्राह्मणस्य जो ब्राह्मण था, वो उस बिल्ली मस्ती कर रही थी, कहीं अग्नि में कूद जाएगी, वो ठीक नहीं रहेगा, वो भी जीव है, जल जाएगी, कर जाएगी, इसके लिए उसको बंद करने के लिए नीचे टोकरी के नीचे रख के ऊपर पत्थर रख दो बोला. और वो परंपरा चला दी कि शादी होगी तो एक बिल्ली चाहिए, पत्थर चाहिए, टोकरी चाहिए. So Krishna says that's what. So this Guru Shishya Parampara you have done, that is the highest level of teaching which I am imparting to you. Forget about it. Nothing, no family traditions will get vanquished if this tradition is active. इसीलिए Guru Shishya Parampara बहुत important है. So the word Veda can be used in three senses. Okay, the word Veda can be used in three senses. One is restrictive sense, one is traditional sense, and one is inclusive sense. When I refer Veda, these are the three senses we can understand Vedas. So restrictive sense is what? Veda refers to 4 Vedic Samhitas, that is, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. So 4 Vedic Samhitas, and the text which talks about Dharma, Artha, Kama. Moksha will come. Upanishad speaks about moksha. Yeah, I'm telling you. That's why I've given you. मैंने वो diagram इसमें डाला है. इसीलिए now when सर्व वेदेषु आएगा, सर्व वेदेषु मैंने आज दे दिया आपको. What are our वेदेषु? And in that only I'm explaining you what is restrictive, what is inclusive, what is the general, that is traditional. So when I say restrictive text, so these 4 Vedas which deals with the topics of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Krishna is using the word Veda in that restrictive sense over here. That the books which talks about Karma Kanda, the books which talks about your, specific purposes, one needs to go beyond that. So that is where it is asking to commit to the point of Karma Yoga. And later on, he'll say how Karma Yoga has to be done. Next shloka, Karmanyevadikaraste, and that will come through. So he will speak on Bhakti also, of course, later on. So he's talking about that in restrictive sense. So apart from Vedas, there is Upanishads, which is also part of Vedas, that we deals with moksha. That's why it is when you say Vedas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, these are the Vedas and these 4 Samhitas and Upanishads. So I've given you this diagram. थोड़ा इसको थोड़ा ऐसे टेढ़ा करके देखना पड़ेगा. See, these are the 4 Vedas in the sides. Okay. ये थोड़ा ये करके देना पड़ेगा. ठीक है. So, and there is Upavedna, that is, Upanishads and all those. I'll explain you. You can go through it. Maybe if you can download it and see it in the system by putting it in the straight format. So you'll find what is Shruti and what is Smriti. Shruti has some portions, Vedas and Upanishads, and Smritis has Puranas, and it has ritual Shastras, Tams, and Puranas, Itihasas, Shaddarshanas, and Tantras and all those. So those are all Smriti. Ye Sara. Yeah.
Some are blank, but this topmost what is written there?
Huh?
2 cells of blank. I think
Smriti is
one
blank.
Smriti.
Shruti है, Shruti and Smriti. That is वो एक उसका font आया नहीं है. ऊपर है Vedas. Vedas are into 2, Shruti and Smriti. हो सकता है that font is like that. It didn't come here. Okay, good. So now, so this is now. So if you draw a graph, for example, graph everybody has drawn, right? Y-axis is a common. There's an x-axis, there's a y-axis. And the left side of y-axis is negative numbers, right? negative axis, and the right side is the positive axis. So scriptures are raising a person from materialistic life, which is negative, from extreme negative if he is too materialistic, to upwards by following karma kanda, okay, to at least come to that zero level. Of course, or come towards the less negative number. So -10 से -2 तक आ जाए, -3 तक आ जाए, -1 तक आ जाए, है ना? So that is what is the materialistic life, which is, of this material level, which is nashwar. So the negative side of the y-axis represents the material life, and by following piety, spirituality, by following Vedas, and you reduce that piety from extreme negative to less negative, or say near about zero. Okay. If you don't follow also Vedas, you will come to some negative. But the moment you start following Upanishads, you will bring it to zero. That is where moksha starts with. Upanishads makes you to come to zero. That, you have to give up the activity, you have to give up the desires, both material and spiritual there. That is at the zero level, the y-axis level, straight away. And after that is the positive level, which comes as bhakti. On the positive right side of the y-axis, that is what it comes as the bhakti. Krishna, of course, has not spoken about bhakti here right now, but today sarva vedeṣu word has come, and Vedas deals with Shruti and Smriti, both cannot be ignored, and many of them just ignore Smriti, so it both cannot be ignored. Both parts are of Vedas. So when you say Shruti and Smriti, this is what is the inclusive sense of Vedas. What I said is restrictive sense is only restricting to the Vedas, particular purpose, particular scope, particular ritual, particular this thing. So in restrictive sense, and including Srimad Puranas and Samhitas and Itihasas and everything, that is nothing but the the inclusive sense of understanding the Vedas. So when Krishna is saying Nisraigunya Bhajarjuna, he says go beyond this material modes and rise to that spiritual level or come to that zero level and try to go beyond that. So never think of saying that, Bhagavad Gita has rejected the Vedas. It is never. It is a Vedic system. Yeah, so it is never, it is giving the higher stance of fulfilling the Vedas. So by doing what, you are fulfilling the Vedas. Like हम बोलते हैं ना, आप दामोदर आपने नहीं किया, 5 दिन आखिरी के है, भीष्म पंचक वो कर लो, है ना? That is some of the option given. You can go beyond that. And what is traditional sense? When we understand traditional sense, general sense, what does Vedas mean? Vedas is not. Exactly. Prabhu is all. Veda is what? Veda is knowledge. All types of knowledge, right? All types of knowledge. From basic to advanced. From LKG to PhD. So all their purpose. So the ultimate purpose of this LKG maths till PG maths, you have to know. You have to become what? Scientist in mathematics or what? You should know the purpose. You are studying maths from LKG to the PhD. Ultimately, what are you going to become? That is the purpose. So that purpose of Vedas is to be understood here. And that is what he says, by becoming brāhmaṇasya vijānataḥ, this is what the person who understands this purpose. So this is what is the understanding of metaphor, like, from small to big, which you are referring to. Like, any doubts now? So now what is this now? What is the highest perfection stage of knowledge? We have to become perfect. Perfect means what? We have to know our self-realization. And how that is possible? So Prabhupada writes very simple. Revival of the person to Krishna consciousness level. He has to understand, okay, first he has to understand what is ritualistic sacrifice of the Vedas, okay? And then he has to gradually develop to the stage of self-realization, come to that zero level access, from negative till the zero access level. and then understand what is the purpose of Vedas. Then that purpose comes out. Krishna will speak in 15:15, as I said, vedeṣu sarveṣu vedyo. So that is where you start transcending. The moment you come to know, knowing Vedas is knowing Krishna, then why not I know him directly? That's also possible. And that is what even in 6th chapter he says. By purva karmas, when you do all these things in your previous karma, when you have finished doing all those, all acharas, all upacharas, all rituals, when you have completed all those, हमने ये व्रत किए, हमने 16 सोमवार किए, हमने ये व्रत की शुक्रवार किए, हमने वो किए, जितने भी व्रत दान पुण्य जितने बताए हैं, 100 सरी के, 1000 चावलों का एक एक गिन के, एक एक मंत्र का जाप करके, एक एक चावल गिन के, लोग 1 लाख चावल गिनते हैं, ऐसा वो जाप करते हैं तो 1 लाख चावल पहले गिन के रखते हैं, फिर डेली वो एक एक मंत्र बोल के एक एक चावल को अलग करते हैं, है ना, एक एक ऐसा 1 लाख करने वाले वो भी करते हैं. आपने जितने भी सारे कुछ कर लिए हैं, उसके बाद में आपको पता चलता है vedeṣu sarveṣu vedyo. That is, if you know Krishna, then everything is known. So ultimately you have to understand. So whoever, that is the reason whenever one person is devoted to Ganapati, whenever any person is devoted to Durga, and a person is devoted to, Rama, if a person is devoted to any Murugan, or, any Lord, Sun Lord, think that he's in that particular stage of life. Slowly he'll come to this stage. Many janmas we have taken till now also. We will take more also. Okay, sometimes Guru comes in a position, gives some vani and says something, and that clicks to anybody, and immediately person takes up to Krishna consciousness, and that is where the revival starts. That is where the revival starts. So, ultimate conclusion is that we have to revive our relationship with Krishna, and that is the highest perfection of life. Srila Prabhupada writes. Revival of our relationship with Krishna. And what is our relationship with Krishna? He mentions that also in the purport. What did he say? 5.7, sorry, 9.7. What did he write? That about 9.7? 15.7, sorry. 15.7. We are the eternal part and parcel of Krishna. Mamai vancho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Aap mere hi ansha ho. Jiva bhuta sanatana ansha. So we have to revive our relationship, which is the eternal we are eternal parts of Krishna. We have to realize that, revive. वे हम बिछड़ गए उनसे, तो हमें वापस मिलना है, और ये मिलने का प्रोसेस भगवत गीता हमको बताती है, तो वो उसको अडॉप्ट करके अपने जीवन में हमें वापस वो पा लेना है. And that with that we will be able to revive our consciousness to Krishna immediately. And that is what he gave a proof also. He did not leave it there only. Prabhupada went ahead and quoted one more shlok from Srimad Bhagavatam. What did he quote about that? 3.33.7. What was the shlok? The shlok was a bit complicated shlok, right? Aho vatsu pacho tagariyan yajjivagare vartate nama tubhyam tepus tapaste juhuva sashnur aryaha brahmana nuchar nama grananti yete. The meaning is that, oh my Lord, vartate nama tubhyam, jivva agre, the front portion of your jivva, taking the name of the Lord Hari, taking the name of the Lord Krishna, aho vatsva pacho gariyan. He may be a dog eater. He may be a dog eater also in his life. Chandal, वो लिखा ना प्रभुपाद ने, हमने ट्रांसलेशन में पढ़ा था. So Chandal is nothing but a dog eater, we call it as. So even a dog eater, if he takes the name through his jiva, from the front part of the jiva as Krishna, then he becomes situated in the highest position, because Krishna is pure. We understood that, right? In previous many shlokas we have been coming through. So Krishna is all pure. When we get yoga with him, connect with him, we also get pure, He's like sunlight. Sunlight falls on the stool also, as well as water also. It dries up everything. But sunlight doesn't get polluted. Rather, the land get polluted where it had been passed all this. So that the land also get purified. Sorry. So this is where. So by just taking that name, Tepus tapascha juvur sasnur arya, you become an arya. You become an Arya. We heard about Aryan in 2.2, right? That anarya jushtam asvargyam akirtikaram arjunam, where 2. So Krishna was coming very heavily upon Arjuna. You are talking like anaryas, and Aryan Sanskriti is what? One who follows the principles in life, the principles of Vedic Sabhyata. So Aryans, so you become best of the Aryans, and when you take the name of all the penances and sacrifice which are according to the Vedic rituals are provided in the Vedic literatures, many times are get purified. Like, or a people taking holy bath in holy places of pilgrimage, just by taking, why that? When we read Bhagavad Gita, kya hua? Gango dagam pitva punarjanmana vidyate. By taking the snan in Bhagavad Gita recitation, it is much better than taking a snan in Ganga water. The Mahatmyam of Bhagavad Gita only says that. So even if you have read a shloka of Bhagavad Gita, that's why we recite, so that you also repeat. And bathing in the shloka of Bhagavad Gita is much more purified than taking bath in the Ganga itself. Okay. But still we follow Vedas, of course, but one who understood this, that's why sannyasi and all those, they are not particularly worried about the ritualistic activity. They are more worried about preaching and, giving Krishna consciousness. I mean, yesterday one brahmachari was here. He was on a transit visa. So I put on the group also. So he was here hardly for half an hour to 1 hour. But within that also, he changed his clothes. After coming, he came on his pant, he changed his clothes. He did some 15 minutes kirtan and then 15-20 minutes prasadam, and then again I left him back to the airport. Only that much of time we had. Otherwise I would have called you all also, but it was an odd time where everybody was in office. He was from Kannada, Bengaluru. So I made Arun Prabhu talk to him. I said, you can talk to him in Kannada, you'll feel much happier. You also spoke, right? You spoke while during airport only. You're almost on the verge of it. मैंने बोला कि लेकिन होता है वो कभी-कभी. So people also Kannada, and so everybody, had he been today here, he would have taken the class. That would have been different. But then he was very close to Bharat Narayan Prabhu, so he had gone there. So जितनी देर भी उन्होंने 10-15 मिनट भी कीर्तन किया तो हम तो गदगद हो गए. Means like, हमारे लिए तो वही बहुत है. So simply, so that's what he says. He's, he becomes to the highest self-realization. He is the best of Aryans, and he's done all penances, sacrifice, Vedic studies, holy baths, many times, not one time. ये जो श्लोक है भागवतम का, ये बता रहा है. सिर्फ हरि के नामों में कीर्तन करने से. So practical application क्या है हमारे लिए क्या है? We are not qualified, right? We are most, वो एग्जाम्पल भी उनका वही दिया कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु को प्रकाशानंद सरस्वती पूछते हैं, भाई तुम ब्राह्मण हो, तुम जनेऊधारी हो और वेदों का अध्ययन नहीं करके ये क्या हरे कृष्णा करके नाचते रहते हो? उन्होंने कहा कि ब्राह्मण, वो भी ब्राह्मण है, विजयानताḥ वो भी है, उनका अपमान कहाँ करे? तो बोलते नहीं, मेरे गुरु ने मुझे मूर्ख बताया है और मैं इसीलिए मूर्खों की तरह नाचते रहता हूँ. I just go mad and in ecstasy and dancing. Whereas he is giving the highest perfection. Golokera Premadan Harinama Sankirtan. He has brought it, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra from Goloka for us. It is an Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. This is the Vedic mantra, but it has to be followed with some Vedic principles. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it very easier to us just by reversing it. It is no longer a Vedic mantra, but it is a mantra for all. Making it Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So by just doing that, we get highest perfection of life. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prakashanand Saraswati ka wo dialogue Prabhupada ne quote kiya. So by just, so conclusion is that just by doing Sankirtan Yajna, one may fulfill the purpose of Vedas. So in Srimad Bhagavatam it will come out, क्या? कलयुग में बुद्धिमान मनुष्य संकीर्तन यज्ञ का आंदोलन छेड़ेंगे, which will be the perfection of life. श्रीमद् भागवतम के एंड में आता, that is where खुद चैतन्य महाप्रभु आएंगे. That is, that is where the prediction was there. He will come and he will demonstrate how to do bhakti, which will be the highest perfection of life and which can surpass, because Kali Yuga will never be able to read Vedas completely, and if we read Vedas completely to get the merm of that Vedas, getting Bhagavad Gita each slok understanding, we taking so much years, right? So understanding Vedas with that same concept now, imagine. Okay, superficial knowledge, everybody. Bhagavad Gita, so many superficial knowledge people also gave. But then knowledge, how, why, with all concepts, we should not have doubt. We have to have references. That is where exactly. Prabhupada did not leave anywhere. That, he brought back the references because whenever there is, so almost with this, ultimately conclusion is that by doing just Sankirtan Yajna, we just fulfill the purpose of Vedas. And this is where it is a Vedantist. What is the Vedantist? Ultimately, what do they do? What is Vedic mysticism? We call it as just to take pleasure in the names of holy name of the Lord. A Vedantist, what does he do? He just takes pleasure in the holy name of the Lord. And that is where, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy dancing Hare Krishna tunes, he was in ecstasy. He's a Vedantist. He's already a Vedantist. They say, people, there's a saying, more tears are shed because prayers are fulfilled than the prayers that are unfulfilled. There's a saying, right? मोर टीयर्स आर सेल्ड, बोल तो आंखों से आंसू ज्यादा निकलते हैं जब हमारी इच्छाएं पूरी हो जाती है, जबकि उनसे भी ज्यादा जिनसे इच्छाएं पूरी नहीं हो, क्योंकि जिनकी इच्छाएं पूरी नहीं होती वो तो रोते रहता है, अरे मैंने तो ये सोचा, वो नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ। किसी की इच्छाएं पूरी होती तो आंखों में खुशी के आंसू जो झलकते हैं, दैट आर मच मोर कोल्डर. So we have all experienced this. So happiness, sukha, dukha derived from the ultimate purpose of Vedas, that gives us ultimate satisfaction. So, this, we can follow Vedas route also, and we can follow the ultimate perfection route, which is mentioned as Hare Krishna Mahamantra route. वेदा के रूट से फॉलो करने में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. नृग महाराज की कहानी कितने जानते हैं? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो नृग महाराज? माता जी आपको तो क्या हुआ था नृग महाराज के साथ में? ही वॉज अ दानी. किसी को लाइक बलि महाराज ऑल्सो वी नो, राइट? ही वॉज अ बिग दानी. बट नृग महाराज भी अपने यहाँ आते थे, कोई भी उनको दान दिए बिना जाते नहीं थे. बहुत सारे तो ब्राह्मण आते थे, ब्राह्मण को गाय दान दे दी. ओके, दे दी. संकल्प लेते हैं, बाकायदा उसकी प्रोसीजर है. यू कैन नॉट से हाँ मैं दान दे रहा हूँ, लेकिन यू हैव टू पुट संकल्प एंड देन गिव और समथिंग, ऑफर इट टू कृष्णा एंड देन गिव. तो वैसे ही कुछ संकल्प मंत्र है, उसके साथ में गाय दान दे दी. वो गाय दान दे दी, एक नहीं कई गाय दान देते हैं ना. ब्राह्मण को कुछ गाय दान दी थी, वो कुछ गाय लेके जा रहा था, उसमें से कुछ गाय, एक गाय पलट के वापस आके मेन झुंड में मिल गई. यू कैन नॉट आइडेंटिफाई, राइट? गायों को पहचानना तो मुश्किल होता है, हमारे जैसों को जो रोज जानते हैं वही पहचान सकते हैं. कोई दूसरा ब्राह्मण आया, उसको भी गाय दान देना था, तो वही संकल्प करके उसमें से ये गाय भी आ गई जो ऑलरेडी दान दे चुकी हुई थी, वापस रिटर्न आके इधर आ गई और उसको पुनः दान में दे दिया. अब दे दिया और वो देखा करे, भाई एक गाय मेरी कम हो गई है, ये गाय मेरी थी, मैंने इसके ऊपर ये मार्क डाल दिया था, मेरी गाय है, बोल के वो आता है वापस पलट के. तो वो बोलता है ये तो मुझे दान दिए. नहीं नहीं, ये तो मुझे दान दी थी, अब तुम्हें कैसे दान दे सकती है? दान दी हुई चीज दान कैसे दे दी सकती है? दैट इज अगेंस्ट प्रिंसिपल. हमने दान ली और वो दान वही चीज को वापस, मैंने किस चीज दान दे दिया, वापस मैं उसी चीज को लेके दूसरों को कैसे दान दे सकता हूं? मैंने आपको दे दिया, आप किसी को दे सकते हो? वो ब्राह्मण बोल रहा मैंने तो दिया नहीं. ये तो अगेंस्ट हो गया प्रिंसिपल के. तो दोनों में इतना विवाद हो गया. तो बेचारे इसमें नृग महाराज की क्या गलती हुई थी? नृग महाराज की तो गलती नहीं हुई थी, उन्होंने देखा नहीं था ये गाय वापस आके इसमें मिल गई है. उन्होंने तो अच्छे वैदिक सभ्यता का पालन किया बेचारे ने और दान दे दिया. हुआ क्या था कि दोनों ब्राह्मण इतना झगड़ लिए कि उन्होंने श्राप दे दिया कि इनको कैमिलियन क्या बोलते हैं, ये गिरगुट, हाँ गिरगुट बनकर उनको जन्म लेना पड़ा. जो कृष्ण फिर उनको उतारते हैं. बॉल खेलते खेलते बच्चे जाके पानी में गिरता है बॉल, और फिर वो जो उसे छिपकली देखते हैं, फिर कृष्ण उसको उद्धार करते हैं. कृष्ण लीला में वो भी एक लीला है. ऐसे कृष्ण कितनों का उद्धार किए हैं, तो नृग महाराज का भी उद्धार उस प्रकार जब किए, तो ये दान ली हुई चीज दान देना नहीं, इज ए प्रिंसिपल. सो हाउ मेनी ऑफ अस फॉलोइंग वेदास, are we sure we are doing all the principles rightly? Because following Vedas, one of the slightest problem would lead us to trouble like Nrug Maharaj.
जो जिनको गाय दान दी, तो मतलब ब्राह्मण है तो ऑफकोर्स उनको बहुत सारी चीजों का ज्ञान भी है. अगर जैसे छोटी सी भी चीज हो जाती थी तो मतलब पहले के जमाने में इतनी जल्दी श्राप कैसे देते थे, कैसे आ जाता था? अगर कि कैसे अगर आप बहुत
ब्रह्म ज्ञानी और नहीं, इसीलिए दुर्वासा मुनि इज द बिगेस्ट ब्रह्म ज्ञानी, जो 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 श्राप का भंडारी लेके चलते रहते हैं. तो ब्रह्म ज्ञानी में भी क्या होता है, जैसे बोला ना ज्ञान, प्रभु वही बोल रहा था ना, मैं इसलिए बोला उपासना कांड. तो क्या होता है कि ज्ञान योगी को भी अपने ज्ञान का बहुत बड़ा घमंड हो जाता, जिससे उनका पतन होता. विश्वामित्र को क्या हुआ था? हाँ.
नहीं,
ये लॉजिक है, मैं लॉजिक ही समझा रहा हूँ, लेकिन
पॉजिटिव वे में देखें कि जितनों को भी
हमें एग्जाम्पल मिला,
उनका उद्धार हुआ.
हाँ उद्धार हुआ.
तो इसको आप बता रहा हूँ, आपने उसको इस एंगल से देखा कि इनको शराब दिया, मुझे
और ब्राह्मणों के श्राप दिया. माता जी का यही था.
आपका उद्धार का तरीका उन्होंने ढूंढा होता है. तो हर जरूरी तो नहीं होता कि देखो
नारद मुनि ने भी श्राप दिया ना, अभी हम करने वाले दामोदर है ना.
क्वेश्चन टेक्निकली ये है कि बंदे की कोई गलती नहीं तो लगना नहीं चाहिए.
शराब नहीं है,
पूजा करना है, वो इसलिए बोल रहे हैं.
नहीं, प्रभु बोल रहे सही है, करेक्ट ही है.
आप ले रहे हैं उसको क्योंकि आप उसको दूसरी, अब मैं सिंपल,
हाँ सर,
अब देखो ये बंदा अच्छा काम कर रहा है, इसका बॉस आके इसको सुना के चला जाता है. आप लोग क्या लगता है कि इसने गलती काम की? इसका बॉस इसको इसलिए सुना रहा है क्योंकि इसके अंदर कैपेबिलिटी है ऊपर जाने की.
एग्जैक्टली, सुनने के लिए आदत होना चाहिए. कान दो दिए,
यार ये तो सुना के चला गया,
कान दो दिए.
इस एंगल से देखा यार इसके अंदर कैपेबिलिटी ऊपर जाने की और ये नहीं जा रहा, और बाद में ये बन जाएगा मैनेजर.
यस, एग्जैक्टली, एग्जैक्टली. गुरु का काम होता है वो देखना. नारद मुनि जो, नारद मुनि का जो,
See, that point, I understand the logic. Purpose, it's not just the.
yeah, we have to look it in that way, he says.
ये दो ब्राह्मण झगड़ रहे, did they think like that? That ये इसको करना, they were fighting about the cow. Whether
It's
the
okay.
intention was, maybe this was Leela, right?
Yeah, that's what. So Krishna will automatically take care of all those things because you were pious. So Krishna had taken care. Like what happened to Narad Muni? नलकुबेर और मणिगिर को क्यों श्राप दिया? उद्धार के लिए. माता जी आप जाओ, कभी कभी कोई वैष्णव से हार्श वर्ड सुनने के लिए रेडी रहते हैं. कोई वैष्णव बहुत हार्श बोलते हैं और तैयार रहते हैं सुनने के लिए.
पैसे आ जाए तो हम 400-500 श्राप
अभी ना कुछ दिन पहले गाजियाबाद में महाराज लेक्चर दे रहे थे, भक्ति ऐसे स्वामी महाराज, एक माता जी ऐसे स्टूपिड से सवाल थे, आपके लिए नहीं थे.
नहीं स्टूपिड नहीं. देखो कहने का देखो, प्रभुपाद भी कभी प्रभुपाद भी बहुत स्ट्रांगली बोलते थे किसी को, है ना. वी हैव टू टेक दैट. आजकल बोलते थे ना, वर्ड कॉमनली बोलते थे वो.
मूर्ख हो तो बहुत बड़ी मूर्ख हो, बैठ जाओ नीचे.
हाँ, ये डांट भी सुनने में बहुत मुश्किल होता है, महाराज से स्पेशली तो होता है. So ये 2.45 and 2.46, of course 3.24 also. That's the fourth reason. Krishna is dismantling the reason of fourth reason in 2.45 and 46 by giving the reason that Arjuna, destruction of family traditions, by saying like don't worry Arjuna, you are not going to lose anything in the name of family traditions, rather you are going to gain much higher things when you get to the higher. So do not when you get to the higher plane, so come to that plane. Do not feel bad about losing the family traditions. Get about all the spiritual things and come to that spiritual level, and ultimately the relationship would prevail as only the Guru and Shishya. That is ultimate Guru, that is Krishna also, and we all as his eternal part and parcels as his Shishya also. And of course in 3.24 he will much more clarify and he will dismantle. So this one particular shloka, fourth reason is these two shlokas, and also the shloka which will come in 3.24. With that it will dismantle. So from 40 to 46, almost 7 shlokas, what did Krishna do? He like, gave you the way, like, of course, till 53 he'll keep on speaking, but right now he's compared with this karma kanda and karma yoga. He had, like broken down into various pieces and explained you through form of Vedas, Vedavadaraka, vedeṣu, sarveṣu. So, all those things. So he, from talking about less intelligent persons to more intelligent persons, from temporary versus to eternal, from getting beyond three modes to the higher mode, that is, Shuddha Sattva, or, and today's example of well versus the ocean or river. So he's he's like, compared this Karma Kanda ritual with that of the Karma Yoga, and